As you're talking about the Eagles, I just want to point out they're not in the honorable mention or in the power rankings or crossed off. So what do we do with them?
We talk about them right now. I don't know. They're a fucking enigma, dude. I think that
they're 4-2.
Yeah. They're 4-2. Let's look at their record here. Let's look at how they've done.
They're 4-2. I don't think I've ever seen.
They beat the Giants, the Browns. So far, not so good. They barely beat the Saints, and they beat the Packers in the worst, biggest asterisk on a Friday night game slide ever played. So asterisk on the Packers and the teams that they've lost to. Yeah. They've lost to the Falcons, who looked a little fraudulent this week. They've lost to the Buccaneers, who looked a little fraudulent this week.
Well, their entire skill position was carted off the fucking field.
The health and safety officer in Tampa Bay looked a little fraudulent this week. The physical therapist in Tampa Bay looked a little fraudulent this week. I don't know. I guess that to me, the way that the Eagles play really does depend a lot on Jalen Hurts, more than I'd be comfortable with if I was an Eagles fan, but he's balling out. He really does do a lot when he's playing against defenses that can't spy him properly. He can open up the game for himself. I think we've seen a lot thematically. We've seen a lot of the idea this season of like you can't really throw in today's NFL unless you can sort of establish some sort of movement on the ground. I think we've seen that come across from a lot of teams, for better or for worse. The Bears passing game got better when DeAndre Swift started looking like an actual running back. The times that the quarterbacks for the Pats have looked good are the games where Ramondre's not coughing it up and he's running well. But you guys were moving the ball as you said, at the start of the Jags game, and it opened everything up for Drake May. Rodgers is calling it out when Breece Hall has a good game. He has better games. It's the whole league. Running backs all of a sudden seem to matter again. And I think when you're looking at this Eagles team, Jalen Hurts is I think Lamar's a little like this, but I think he's actually becoming a really elite pocket passer, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But Jalen Hurts can really open the game up for himself. He can really be like a one-man wrecking crew out there. And realistically, his closest comparison, I don't think skill-wise at this point, but his closest comparison to what kind of QB he is Josh Allen. And I think a guy with that much physicality, with that thing in his back pocket where he can always get a yard, and the amount of weapons he has and how good Saquon's been to take a little bit of that off his shoulders as well. I just think they're very likable from a skill position standpoint. Like I like watching them play football. The problem is I still think there's some weird shit going on there. Why? Because I think they might have the worst coach in the NFL. I think their coach might be the biggest bonehead in the NFL. So it's hard for me because if you look across the entire roster, the skill position.
You've seen Jerod Mayo and Mike McCarthy, right?
Yeah, but the thing is they're not working with anything, Like to me, the really bad coaches show it when they have some stuff and they just can't put it together, right? The Chargers last year, I think you can see a difference there already. Yeah, the Cowboys are a great example of this. Maybe their past 6 head coaches, where it's like, look at all the talent, and they just can't fucking do anything with it. I didn't say definitely the worst coach. Biggest bonehead. Guy I would like to be my coach the least, if I'm being totally honest with you, is Nick Sirianni. Sure. And I think that what that does is it shows you that as good and as talented as they are, none of us believe that they're going to really do anything with that talent this year in any meaningful capacity in the postseason because of who their coach is. So he's going to find a way to fuck it up. So I don't know what to do with them, to be totally honest with you, because they're such a fucking placeholder. I would be so shocked if they made a meaningful postseason run. I really would. But yet they are a team that has done that very recently and has all the talent on paper to do it. So I don't know. You tell me, what are the Eagles? Lucky that they're in the NFC.
They're the second best team in the NFC East. I mean, that's where they have been the last couple of years. But now, obviously in the first is the Commanders. I think, like you said, talent will never be an issue. That coaching might be, but that coach also got them to a Super Bowl. I just find it.
I know
they're.
I think that broke him, though. I think that's what broke his brain.
They're not good enough to be in the power rankings. However, if you weren't on the show, Dave, I could make an argument as to why they could replace the Bears, but I'm not going to do that. But they're definitely
they probably have I don't know. They're oddly similar, aren't they? Like sort of roster wise,
and they've all beaten nobody.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, that's true of the Bears. I can't really deny that. I can't really deny that accusation. It's been pretty I mean, I don't want to skip the honorable mentions. Let's finish out the Eagles before we go on to this, but because I do have to talk about how my team somehow miraculously lost their bye week. But and that's why I was mad during that Texans game. By the way, I've sort of come to my senses, but because I was so fucking pissed. But yeah, the Eagles are weird. They're enigmatic. But you're right that they have the kind of talent and they're playing at the kind of level where they deserve to be talked about more on this show. So I will write this down and I will try to be more aware of our Philadelphia brethren, a lovely city full of really wonderful people, genuinely so clean and nice. But anything on the Eagles? Anything I missed?
I can't believe
I mean, they're in your division. You like.
I can't believe I agree with you that I enjoy watching them play football. That's.
Yeah, I mean Saquon's.
That's what I mean. Saquon's there now, and
Hurts has been making
everyone.
Hurts made some.
You know, I'll have a good pass.
It was fun to watch,
and they sacked. They sacked Andrew Jones 8 times this week. So
Jaylen Carter's sick. He's sick. He's genuinely sick.
Him 5 times in the first half.
Yeah, Jalen Carter's out there taking fucking scalps, dude. That guy's like the new Ndamukong Suh. He's like
Jordan Davis. Good. Jordan Davis too.
Yeah, he's good. I like them. It's so annoying. All right, we'll see how they do. I think that they're also a team that could come out and just shit the bed. Like they could come out for 2 or 3 weeks in a row, and you're just like, okay, I see now what.
Sirianni's the only coach. But he's the only coach that ever has been on the hot seat for a 4-2 team.
Yeah, that's. I don't know. Actually, is that true?
I can't think of anyone else ever.
It reminds me a lot of Doug Peterson, like the guy that is just like you shouldn't have given him confidence. You shouldn't have like told him that he was like a good coach once by letting him make it that far in a postseason. Where Doug Peterson, same thing. Where it's like he does a book tour after he like calls a fucking trick play in the Super Bowl. Like who cares? There's no one's gonna find your book, Doug Peterson.